Hello, this is T. West, and welcome to AfroSynergy.
Further, we're being joined by Dr. Webster Griffin Tarpley. He's an author and historian joining us from Washington. Dr. Tarpley, thanks for joining us here on Press TV.
Thank
now,
you.
Analysts are saying that this killing of a senior figure like Yunus could be a setback for the revolutionaries. Do you agree with that assessment?
I think that's putting it mildly. We have to remember that Yunus was the military commander of the entire rebellion. He had been locked in a bitter rivalry with a guy called Khalifa Hifter. The name comes across in English as Hifter for the New York Times, Hafter, or even Hefter, but he's the one. He lived here in Northern Virginia for quite a number of years. He's a reputed CIA agent and general U.S. agent, and we've had this rivalry about who will control the armed forces. We've had in the past situations where the Yunus faction would try to call in NATO airstrikes to attack the Hafter faction, and the Hifter faction would call in airstrikes against the Yunus people. And now it's been taken to the point of murder. According to the Associated Press, the killing was carried out by something called the February 17th Martyrs Brigade, which turns out to be a branch of the Libyan Islamic fighting group, self-styled, and that is a branch of Al-Qaeda. So here we have Al-Qaeda killing one of the top two or three, perhaps, people in the entire Benghazi rebel council, and alarmingly, Jalil, who has emerged now as the kind of the primus inter pares, Jalil has been covering for Al-Qaeda by telling a totally fantastic story of how this happened, that he'd been brought to Benghazi for questioning and so forth. In reality, he was massacred on the road from Brega approximately to Benghazi.
Well, this obviously signals that there are divisions within the ranks of the revolutionaries. What do you make of that?
Again, I have to say, from my point of view, the revolutionaries are the Gaddafi side. That's the Libyan revolution. And these people are agents of colonialism and imperialism, therefore counter-revolutionaries. There's a factional division between the people who left, the expatriates who left and went to work for the CIA, typified by Hafter, and then the people who stayed inside the country and dealt with Gaddafi. So there's a big fault line right there. The other one is tribal, in the sense that Yunus was a member of the Obeidat tribe, which is one of the largest ones in this Cyrenaica region of eastern Libya. At the funeral, his son cried out, "We want Gaddafi back, we want the green flag back." That's a heavy blow to the morale of this gaggle of rebels. So it looks to me like the entire situation there may descend into a civil war inside the civil war, where you're going to have one faction killing another. Already by the end of June, we had at least 15 to 20 and maybe as many as 40 armed factions. All of this looking very grim for the NATO side. The United Nations mandate runs out slightly after the middle of September, and that seems to be the point at which the smaller NATO countries will tend to drop out completely. And we've also got a signal, a kind of admission of defeat from Anne-Marie Slaughter, former official of the Obama White House, National Security Council, who had been one of the big hawks on Libya demanding armed intervention. She's written a blog in the Financial Times that people should look at. She basically admits that the U.S. effort has been defeated, NATO is defeated, it's time for a compromise, and that may go very far towards granting the demands of the Gaddafi side.
Well, Dr. Tarpley, where does this then leave the average Libyan who's been dragged into this under the name of fighting for democracy and freedom and does not have any connections with any of these factions?
Well, I think that middle group has tended to coalesce to the Gaddafi side. When this all started, there were admittedly quite a few people who were somewhat disillusioned with Gaddafi after 40 years. But when they saw the alternative, when they saw that this was a matter of going out of the frying pan and into the fire, from some people's points of view, not mine, they, I think, have basically rallied to Gaddafi. I think the fact that this guy's son, the late Yunus's son, is calling for a restoration of the Gaddafi regime and the green flag, I think that's probably a strong undercurrent of opinion in Benghazi. They thought they were getting democracy, killing a factional opponent, massacring him out on the highway, along with two colonels, because there are two other people involved in this, important guys in their own right. That doesn't look too much like democracy. Lots of egg on Hillary Clinton's face tonight, because these are the people that she just recognized. This bunch of murderous gangs, it's like the 5 families of the New York Mafia in Benghazi, and that's now what the U.S. calls the government of Libya.
All right, we'll obviously be keeping a close eye as the developments become more and more clear and interesting. That was Dr. Webster Griffin Tarpley, author and historian, joining us from Washington. Dr. Tarpley, thanks indeed for your insight here on Press TV.